In this video, I'm going to walk you through the discovery and the capture of a swarm from my own backyard. One Saturday recently, I was cutting the grass on a riding lawnmower in the yard and drove around this small sapling and, in fact, drove underneath of the limbs of the sapling, cutting the grass, and made a full 2 circles around the tree before I realized that there was a swarm of honeybees that had landed just hours before. In the background of the video, you could see a shorter gray fence. There are multiple bee colonies behind that fence. So I knew that this swarm of bees very likely came from one of my own colonies. So I called my father-in-law to come over and give me a hand, and we got a nuke box with 5 frames of drawn wax, brought it out to the yard. I spritzed the frames down with a little bit of 1-to-1 sugar syrup, a little granulated sugar mixed with water, spritzed over the frames just to encourage the bees to stay in the box after we move them in. Many different techniques for collecting a swarm. You can use your hands and just scoop bees off of the tree limbs and into the box. You can use a bee vacuum to gently vacuum them off of the tree limbs. In this case, I'm trying a technique of just using a bee brush and gently brushing clumps of bees off the tree. Just to make it easy, I'm using a frame held horizontally to catch the clumps of bees that are being brushed off the limb, and walk over and drop them into the box, shake them into the box. We'll repeat this process a few times here until we get either the majority of the bees off of the tree, or until we feel like we've captured the queen, or we see the queen, or evidence that we've captured the queen. And then we'll put the nuke box up on a crate so it's closer to the height of the remaining bees on the tree. And we'll let the remaining bees or the stragglers leave the tree on their own. They'll fly over and join the rest of the colony that's in the nuke box in the hours that follow. So in the springtime, bees will swarm. They will, a portion of the bees will leave the parent colony, and they'll swarm out into the wild and land on a place like a tree limb or a mailbox post or a fence or other places. And what they'll do is they will send out scout bees and look for a more permanent home for the colony. And once those scout bees have returned and they've all aligned on their new permanent home, they will leave wherever they're temporarily staying. In this case, it's on a tree. They'll stay here for a couple hours until they find a permanent home, and then they'll get up and they will move into their more permanent home. So generally, when you see a swarm like this, you've got anywhere from a couple minutes to a couple of hours to go collect this swarm before they move on. This swarm had been on the tree for maybe an hour to 2 hours because I was out in the yard prior to cutting the grass and did not see them swarm, so they must have swarmed early morning after sunup. Here, my father-in-law are debating on how and whether we keep brushing bees in or if we've captured the queen already. You can probably see bees are landing all over my suit, back of my bee suit. They're flying in the air. Some of the bees, when we shake them in the box, will get up and fly back to the tree. Others will start orientation flights around the box themselves. Once you've got all your gear set up, it generally only takes a couple of minutes to capture a swarm from wherever they're temporarily located. Each spring, in preparation for swarm season, I'll keep an extra box handy with some extra frames if I have extra drawn frames. Sometimes I'll keep a telescoping pole with a net handy in case the bees decide to land 15, 20 feet up in a tree, we can shake them and retrieve them down. In this case, they landed right about waist level, which is quite unusual. Most of the swarms I've ever caught have been quite high in a tree and required either a step ladder or an extension ladder. So this was quite a nice treat to be able to catch these on the ground. Most all the swarms that I've ever captured um, have been very gentle. Typically, the bees consume a lot of honey and take it with them as stored energy. So and they don't have a home to defend per se, so they're not generally gonna sting you when you go to collect a swarm. I have seen many beekeepers who will collect a swarm with no veil, no gloves. I've been keeping bees for over 10 years and I still suit all the way up. On occasion, you'll see me wrap duct tape around my sleeves of my arms or the cuffs of my pants. Just give a little bit of extra confidence that bees won't find a way into my suit. So here you can see the bees are starting to congregate on the front of the nuke box. We've set it up on a crate so it's closer to the height of the swarm that remains on the tree. Bees are starting to go back and forth. Those bees on the front of the box are starting to fan their wings, which is a pretty good indication that we've captured the queen inside the box. They're trying to waft her scent or her pheromone out the front of the box to let other remaining bees know, hey, the queen is over here now. You should come join us over here in this box. And at some point, you'll actually have diminishing returns trying to brush bees off. You may brush off 10, 20, 30, 40 bees, shake them into the box. Half of those go back to the limb. So typically, when we go collect a swarm, you won't always get all the bees into your box. So often, what we'll do is we will leave the box there for either several hours or depending upon where the swarm is at. If we can, we'll leave the box overnight. Typically, once sunset comes along, the bees will leave their temporary place and go join the rest of their colony that's in the box. Then it becomes very easy to come back and pick them up in the morning. You've got all the bees in one place. So here they are. They're set up in the box. We just put the lid on. We'll go ahead and leave them here for several hours. In this case, I was able to come back and pick them up just after sundown. All the bees were off of the tree and over into the box. And we successfully captured the queen. So I'll move the camera over here and give you a little bit of a closer view. Again, you can just see these bees are clustered all over the front landing board and the front of the box, and they're just fanning their wings, pushing the scent of the queen out of the box so that the remaining bees on the trees know where to go. Alrighty, well, I appreciate you watching the video. If you have questions about capturing a swarm, please drop them down below. Have a great day.